Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Real News Always. I'm your host, Jerry Kelly. Damn, CNN's finally doing some real investigative journalism work, guys. They have actually looked into the border crisis. Biden should be done in for this. This is ridiculous what he's letting go on at our border and not mentioning nothing about it. Watch this investigation from CNN. I have to give it a 10, to be honest. That's crazy because I normally don't use CNN as a guidance, but they actually are on point here. So roll the clip. If you would like to support my channel and help me grow, I have a Cash App now, so Cash App me. It will be in the description box. Peace.
Tonight, the White House trying to reduce the dramatic surge of unaccompanied migrant children at the southern border by terminating a Trump-era policy that it says discouraged potential sponsors of these children from coming forward out of fear they'd be reported to immigration officials as maybe they were undocumented. The move comes as a record number of unaccompanied children. Now more than 3,700 are in Border Patrol custody. We have a special investigation tonight with Ed Lavandera out front.
As the sun sets on the Rio Grande, our boat winds its way through the deep bends of the river that separates Texas from Mexico near the town of Hidalgo. That's when we stumble across a group of migrants loading into a raft.
No amigos. Hey. No enemigo. No, we're good.
Our group eases the tension. A few men appear to lead the raft full of parents and young children to the U.S. side. The Rio Grande Valley has been ground zero of the latest surge of migration, and here you see the operation unfolding right in front of us. ¿De dónde vienen? De Honduras. After the first raft crosses the river, the magnitude of this moment reveals itself. Dozens of migrants emerge and walk down to the river's edge. You can see that this is a serious operation. There are dozens of migrants. There are still some above the hills there, and it is quickly moving. A handful of guys move people back and forth on these rafts. They have life vests for the migrants. It's a highly organized system. We'll watch the raft make about 6 trips back and forth. Scenes like this are escalating in the Rio Grande Valley. There's the growing perception among migrants in Central America that the Biden administration is more welcoming, even though many are still being turned away.
These are really, really high numbers. I've never seen it this busy in 19 years.
Chris Cabrera is with the National Border Patrol Council, the union that represents Border Patrol agents. He warns the agency's frontline field stations, like this massive tent facility, are being pushed to the limit with migrants in custody.
We're crowded. We're overcrowded. We don't have anywhere to put people, but we have them in our custody, and the system has bogged down, and there's no place for us to send them because the next level is not open yet.
This is a rare view of the field station set up about a month ago by the Border Patrol. The tents are used to handle the initial field processing for the tens of thousands of migrants apprehended in the Rio Grande Valley. There are bathrooms, first aid care, and migrants are removed from the area by a steady stream of buses. While some migrants cross illegally, some are allowed to cross legally. Sandra is overwhelmed as she recounts living in a tent city with her son for the last year on the Mexican side of the border. She worked as a teacher in the camp. She's allowed to wait out her asylum case in the United States. The 38-year-old mother says she fled Honduras after years of threats from a family member.
And
then one day finally showed up at her house with a gun and started firing into her house, and that one of her older children and some others tackled the man and prevented him from killing her, and that's the reason why she's seeking asylum here.
No podré vivir yo en mi país.
She says she can't live in Honduras and she would have to find someplace else to live. That desperation is what we heard from the migrants on the rafts crossing the Rio Grande. Soy periodista. ¿Cómo están? ¿De dónde vienen? Honduras. De Honduras. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevan? Some tell me they're escaping crime, have lost their homes. The last father on the raft tells me he's here with his wife and daughter. ¿Y ahora qué hacen? Vamos a buscar una nueva oportunidad. They're searching for a new opportunity, he says. Back on the other side of the river, another group waits their turn.
I mean, Ed, it is extraordinary as we watch this. You know, you're saying that you watched them go across, and I believe you said you watched them sort of ferry migrants over at least 6 times. I mean, it's incredible video. So I just want to show it as you're speaking again here. So tell me how this happened. You're just sailing along and you come across this, and then what happened to the people that you saw crossing over, illegally?
And to be clear, we're being told by immigration officials that this is something that is happening nightly and routinely. In fact, Border Patrol officials here in the Rio Grande Valley have been tweeting out pictures of massive groups of people that they have captured, over 100 in some cases. This group that we saw was probably around 75 before we kind of felt like we had to leave the area. And we were told, we asked them what they were going to do, and they said that they were going to start walking and essentially try to find Border Patrol agents that usually are not stationed that far away from the river's edge there, and turn themselves in. So the likelihood of them getting very far is very low. And that tent facility that you saw underneath one of the bridges that we showed that nighttime video of, that's probably where that group ended up. I don't know exactly where they ended up, but it's very likely that that's where they ended up after being apprehended by Border Patrol agents.
Again, though, to the point you're saying, Ed, that they're saying this is happening nightly. The Border Patrol is telling you that. So tell me, when you were out on the river, did you just stumble upon this pretty quickly? Or, I mean, it is just pretty stunning for all of us watching this to imagine, that you're just out there and all of a sudden this happens. It's incredible.
Yeah, that particular scene was probably, I'd say, a little less than a mile from where we launched into the river. And so it didn't really take that long. I can't remember off the top of my head how long it took, but yeah. We had gone to one side of the, down one end of the river, we'd come back. And then after we left that particular scene, we were on our way back because the sun was about to set for good. And we saw another raft. And as we approached, the people who were in that raft, they all jumped out and started running up the hill. So we weren't able to get in any good shots of that moment, but it really kind of speaks to just the intensity of the moment there, because these are people who have spent weeks and months navigating their way through Central America into Mexico as well. And they are literally 25, 30, 40 yards away from the United States, and the intensity for them, having survived all of that, because you can't overstress enough just how treacherous this journey is for thousands of these people, and how dangerous it is. They feel that they're so close to something so promising for them.
I mean, it's so incredible. And Ed, I'm sorry, but I just want to ask one other question, because I just find this really amazing, and I'm sure all our viewers do as well. But, when you talk about they're doing months, right, the desperation that it takes to get to the point they get, but also how hard it is to get to that point. The people that are operating the rafts, so do you have any idea who they are or how these migrants even get there? I mean, they're obviously, I presume, some paying for this, or, I mean, right, that's a pretty powerful position, the person operating the raft.
Right, we kind of essentially told them that we were friendly. We just never know what kind of situation and that you're unfolding. So we were very, kind of anxious to just make sure, hey, we're friendly. We're here just to, do our job. So, but by and large, I think it's very fair to say that this is, everybody is basically a spoke in the wheel, and this is one part of the smuggling operation. These are people, and I've spent most of the last month talking to dozens of migrants, and they describe the various ways that they get to the border. Many of them coming by bus through smuggling operations, and part of the area that we were in, Aaron, is very remote from the closest city. So you have to be taken out to this location on the Mexican side to make that walk and that raft ride across the river. So all of this, as I mentioned in the piece, highly organized. Yeah. All of the people that you saw, moving people across is, part of that system that gets people to the U.S. border.